The arena floor was made of polished metal that reflected the harsh overhead lights, creating an almost mirror-like surface beneath Lisa Chen's bare feet. Around her, the circular chamber rose in tiers, filled with hundreds of alien spectators, their varied forms creating a kaleidoscope of colors and shapes. Chittering, roaring, and harmonic tones filled the air as different species placed their bets on the outcome. Lisa stood in the center, wearing only the simple gray combat suit provided by the arena, her dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. At 5'6" and weighing barely 140 pounds, she looked insignificant compared to the three opponents circling her like predators. In the VIP section, Ambassador Kethvar of the Dominion Council leaned forward, his four eyes glittering with amusement. The reptilian diplomat had been questioning humanity's military capabilities for weeks during the trade negotiations, constantly referencing their species' reliance on primitive projectile weapons and crude explosives. "Your species fascinates me, Ambassador Williams," Kethvar had said during their last meeting. "So dependent on tools and weapons. Tell me, what happens when a human faces combat without their precious guns and bombs? Do they simply break?" That conversation had led to this moment. Lisa had volunteered when the challenge was issued, despite the protests of the human diplomatic team. Now she faced three of the galaxy's most formidable natural fighters in unarmed combat. The first opponent was a Krathari warrior named Thexun, 8 feet of dense muscle and chitinous armor, with forearms ending in razor-sharp claws. His species had evolved from pack hunters on a death world where everything wanted to kill you. The second was a Vorthak called Grimtel, whose crystalline hide could deflect energy weapons and whose strength could crush steel. The third opponent was perhaps the most dangerous, a Zephyrian scout named Veltra, whose serpentine body could move faster than most eyes could track, with venomous fangs that could drop a bull elephant. "The human looks fragile," someone commented in the crowd, the translation echoing through Lisa's earpiece. "This will be over quickly," another voice agreed. Ambassador Williams sat rigid in his seat, his knuckles white as he gripped the armrest. He'd tried to talk Lisa out of this, but she'd been adamant. "Sometimes," she'd told him, "you have to show them rather than tell them." The arena's announcer, a floating jellyfish-like creature with bioluminescent patterns, began the proceedings. "Ladies, gentlemen, and diverse beings of all classifications, today we witness a unique exhibition. The human specimen will face 3 champions without weapons, armor, or technological assistance. Place your final bets." Kethvar activated his communicator. "I've wagered quite heavily against your representative, Ambassador Williams. I do hope she provides at least a few moments of entertainment before the inevitable." Williams didn't respond, his eyes locked on Lisa as she performed what looked like a simple stretching routine. To the untrained eye, it appeared she was merely preparing her muscles. But Williams recognized the movements. He'd seen them before during his brief stint as a military attaché. Lisa wasn't just stretching. She was running through combat sequences, muscle memory taking over as her mind calculated distances, angles, and timing. The starting bell chimed, a crystalline tone that rang through the arena. Thexan charged first, all 4 arms spread wide to prevent escape, his claws gleaming under the lights. His roar echoed off the arena walls as 8 feet of apex predator thundered toward the small human female. Lisa didn't retreat. Instead, she stepped forward and slightly to the right, her movement so fluid it seemed like dancing. As Thexun's uppermost right arm swept toward her head, she ducked beneath it and pivoted on her left foot. Her right elbow drove upward with surgical precision, striking the nerve cluster just behind Thexun's chitinous collar, a weak point. She'd memorized from the species database during her preparation. The massive alien's roar cut off abruptly as his nervous system overloaded. His legs gave out, sending him crashing to the arena floor with a sound like thunder. The crowd fell silent. Veltra and Grimtel barely had time to register their companions, fall before Lisa was moving again. The Zephyrian, relying on speed as always, lunged with fangs extended, his serpentine body uncoiling like a striking viper. But humans had been dealing with venomous snakes since before they'd left their caves. Lisa's left hand shot out, catching Veltra just behind his head in a grip that prevented him from turning to bite. Her right hand found the pressure point, at the base of his skull, another weakness she'd studied. A quick twist, not enough to kill, but sufficient to sever the connection between his brain and his motor functions, and the Zephyrian scout collapsed in a twitching heap. 2 seconds had elapsed since the bell. Grimtel, seeing his companions fall, backed away with the first sign of intelligence he'd shown. His crystalline hide began to shift color, a defensive mechanism his species used when threatened. But Lisa was already closing the distance, her bare feet making no sound on the metal floor. The Vorthax swung his massive fist downward, enough force to crater concrete. Lisa simply wasn't there when it landed. She'd rolled between his legs, coming up behind him as he overextended. Her small fist, powered by perfect leverage and timing, struck the junction where his hip connected to his torso, the one spot where the crystalline plates couldn't overlap without restricting movement. Grimtel's roar of pain shook the arena as his leg gave out. He toppled like a felled tree, his own weight working against him as Lisa stepped back, breathing easily. 3 opponents. 3 seconds. The arena erupted in chaos. Beings who had wagered against the human were demanding recounts and investigations. Others were calculating how much they'd just won. In the VIP section, Ambassador Kethvar sat in stunned silence, his 4 eyes wide with disbelief. Lisa walked to the center of the arena and looked up at the diplomatic section. When she spoke, her voice was calm, conversational, and carried clearly through the arena's acoustics. "Ambassador Kethvar," she called out, "you asked what happens when a human fights without weapons." She gestured to the 3 aliens groaning on the arena floor around her. "The answer is simple. We remember that we didn't need weapons to climb to the top of our food chain. We just got better at making them." She paused, letting that sink in as the crowd slowly quieted to listen. Every human child learns to fight before they learn to walk properly. We study anatomy, leverage, physics, and biology not just as sciences, but as tools for survival. When you take away our guns and bombs, you don't make us helpless. You just force us to get creative. Ambassador Williams felt a smile spreading across his face for the first time in weeks. Around the arena, he could see the alien spectators looking at Lisa with new eyes. Fear, respect, curiosity, but no longer dismissal. Lisa continued, her voice carrying the weight of millennia of human warfare. "We are persistence hunters who chased prey until their hearts gave out. We are pack animals who learned to coordinate attacks across vast distances. We are tool users who turned sticks and stones into weapons of mass destruction. But strip away all of that, and underneath, you'll find something much more dangerous." She spread her arms, encompassing the arena, and all its alien observers. "You'll find humans,